Chamerion angustifolium, commonly known in North America as fireweed, in some parts of Canada as great willowherb, and in Britain as rosebay willowherb, is a perennial herbaceous plant in the willowherb family Onagraceae. It is native throughout the temperate Northern Hemisphere, including large parts of the boreal forests. This species has been placed in the genus Chamerion rather than Epilobium based on several morphological distinctions: spiral leaf arrangement, absence of a hypanthium, subequal stamens, zygomorphic stamens, and stigma. Under this taxonomic arrangement, Chamerion and Epilobium are monophyletic sister genera. Two subspecies are recognized as valid: Chamerion angustifolium subsp. Angustifolium. Chamerion angustifolium subsp. Circumvagum hoc. Etymology. The species name angustifolium is constructed from the Latin words angustus meaning narrow and folium meaning leaved or leaf. It shares this name with other species of plant including Vaccinium angustifolium. The common British name, for the passing resemblance of the flowers to roses and the leaves to those of bay, goes back in print to Gerard's Herbal of 1597. Description: the reddish stems of this herbaceous perennial are usually simple, erect, smooth, 0.5 to 2.5 meters high with scattered alternate leaves. The leaves are entire, lanceolate, and pinnately veined. A related species, dwarf fireweed, grows to 0.3 to 0.6 meters tall. The flowers have 4 magenta to pink petals, 2 to 3 centimeters in diameter. The styles have 4 stigmas, which occur in symmetrical terminal racemes. The floral formula is K4C4A4 plus 4A4 plus 0G. The reddish-brown linear seed capsule splits from the apex. It bears many minute brown seeds, about 300 to 400 per capsule and 80,000 per plant. The seeds have silky hairs to aid wind dispersal and are very easily spread by the wind, often becoming a weed and a dominant species on disturbed ground. Once established, the plants also spread extensively by underground roots, an individual plant eventually forming a large patch. The leaves of fireweed are unique in that the leaf veins are circular and do not terminate on the edges of the leaf, but form circular loops and join together inside the outer leaf margins. This feature makes the plants very easy to identify in all stages of growth. When fireweed first emerges in early spring, it can closely resemble several highly toxic members of the lily family. However, it is easily identified by its unique leaf vein structure. Ecology. This herb is often abundant in wet calcareous to slightly acidic soils in open fields, pastures, and particularly burned over lands. The name fireweed derives from the species' abundance as a colonizer on burnt sites after forest fires. Its tendency to quickly colonize open areas with little competition, such as sites of forest fires and forest clearings, makes it a clear example of a pioneer species. Plants grow and flower as long as there is open space and plenty of light. As trees and brush grow larger, the plants die out, but the seeds remain viable in the soil seed bank for many years. When a new fire or other disturbance occurs that opens up the ground to light again, the seeds germinate. Some areas with heavy seed counts in the soil can, after burning, be covered with pure dense stands of this species, and when in flower the landscape is turned into fields of color. In Britain, the plant was considered a rare species in the 18th century, and one confined to a few locations with damp, gravelly soils. It was misidentified as great hairy willow herb in contemporary floras. The plant's rise from a local rarity to widespread weed seems to have occurred at the same time as the expansion of the railway network. and the associated soil disturbance. The plant became locally known as bombweed due to its rapid colonization of bomb craters in the Second World War. The flowers are visited by a wide variety of insects. Uses. The young shoots were often collected in the spring by Native American people and mixed with other greens. As the plant matures, the leaves become tough and somewhat bitter. The Southeast Native Americans used the stems in this stage. They are peeled and eaten raw. When properly prepared soon after picking, they are a good source of vitamin C and provitamin A. The Dina add fireweed to their dog's food. Fireweed is also a medicine of the upper inlet Dina, who treat pus-filled boils or cuts by placing a piece of the raw stem on the afflicted area. This is said to draw the pus out of the cut or boil and prevents a cut with pus in it from healing over too quickly. The root can be roasted after scraping off the outside, but often tastes bitter. To mitigate this, the root is collected before the plant flowers and the brown thread in the middle removed. In Alaska, candies, syrups, jellies, and even ice cream are made from fireweed. Monofloral honey made primarily from fireweed nectar has a distinctive, spiced flavor. In Russia, its leaves were traditionally used as a tea, before the introduction of tea from China starting in the 17th century. It was greatly valued and was exported in large quantities to Western Europe as kopori tea, Russian tea or Ivan chai. Fireweed leaves can undergo fermentation, much like real tea. Today, kopori tea or Ivan chai is still commonly sold and consumed in Russia, though it is not nearly as popular as it was in pre-Soviet Russia. Fireweed's natural variation in ploidy has prompted its use in scientific studies of polyploidy's possible effects on adaptive potential and species diversification. Habitat restoration. Because fireweed can colonize disturbed sites, even following an old oil spill, it is often used to re-establish vegetation. It grows in a variety of temperate to Arctic ecosystems. Although it is also grown as an ornamental plant, some may find it too aggressive in that context. Depictions in human culture. Fireweed is the floral emblem of Yukon. Rosebay willowherb was voted the county flower of London in 2002 following a poll by the wild plant conservation charity Plantlife.